Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto died and sent to the My Little Pony universe with Harem. Part 9. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. It's another day in the life for Naruto as he's to be found in the kitchen in the Uzumaki mansion, currently packing some food into a cooler for a little trip to the Winsome Falls alone, in order to proceed with the next step of his training with his wind affinity. Okay then, just a little bit more then I'm all set for Winsome Falls. Better send a shadow clone to let the others know where I'm going to, said Naruto. He took out a flask from the cupboard, then took the kettle of green tea off the stove with a chakra arm and was about to pour it in when his medallion started glowing on its own before an orb floated out of it and turned into a white scroll before placing itself on the kitchen table. Looks my travel plans have changed, guess I better gear up and get ready to leave. Naruto left the kitchen and made his way to the workshop downstairs. There he packed up on different varieties of crystals, ninja tools, and not to forget a certain trump card, which might help him along the way given his current situation. Guess that's everything except for the food, I almost forgot about that. He returned to the kitchen and sealed the cooler away before leaving the mansion towards his next destination, which is Dr. Wu's home. He knocked on the door and didn't have to wait long as the said pony opened up and smiled upon seeing him. "Ah, hello again Naruto," said Dr. Wu's. "Hi there Doc, I just got another mission from Kami-sama," said Naruto showing him the scroll. "I see, well then off we go to another world then. I'll go and make preparations for the trip." Dr. Wu's went inside with Naruto following him as they went to where the TARDIS is kept. Pressing a few buttons, the TARDIS hovered in the air as a rift opened up before them and they flew inside in direction of their next destination. Naruto was looking through the window as they passed through the void when his stomach rumbled loudly, as if to remind him to fill it up, much to his embarrassment and Dr. Wu's amusement. "Sorry about that Doc, I forgot to eat breakfast this morning," said Naruto sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. "It's quite alright, I myself had forgotten to restock the pantry yesterday and so didn't have breakfast either," said Dr. Wu's. "In that case, I can share some of mine with you. There's no need to bother yourself, I can manage." "No, it's okay, I packed a lot so it's no trouble at all." "Very well then, I'll be happy to oblige." Dr. Wu's finally gave in. "Great, now then release food pack." Naruto's medallion glowed brightly and a white orb floated out of it towards the ground before transforming into the cooler which he had packed the food inside. Naruto reached in with a levitation spell and began to pull out the containers. "Let's see, we got apples, muffins, quiche, green tea, spike, sandwiches, apple pies." "Wait a minute," he trailed off before quickly looking inside and his eyes widened in shock along with Dr. Wu's Spike. Indeed it was Twilight's baby dragon Spike whom they found in the cooler. "How did he get in here, what's he even doing here in the first place?" said Naruto panicky. "He appears to be unconscious," said Dr. Wu's. "Like he said, Spike is currently lying in the cooler with swirls in his eyes. Even so we need to take him back to Ponyville before he finds out about this." "I don't think that would be the case as he's waking up." Dr. Wu's pointed at Spike who's currently waking up. "Oh, what hit me huh? Where am I?" He looked around and saw Naruto and Dr. Wu's whom he recognized upon seeing him at Pinkie Pie's birthday party. "Naruto and Dr. Wu's. What's going on here?" "Spike, how did you get into the cooler?" asked Naruto. "Well, I came by to visit you and couldn't find you anywhere so I went to the kitchen, I saw the open cooler and my curiosity got the better of me so I took a look inside. Then the next thing I knew was that something hit me in the head hard enough to knock me and I woke up to see all this," said Spike. Naruto then recalled seeing a frying pan on the ground next to a closed cooler that he put away without a second thought. "What do we do now Doc?" Naruto asked Dr. Wu's worriedly. He doesn't want Spike to get involved due to the potential danger his friends may find themselves in. His venture in the Pokemon world and former world is just one of the many dangers that he would encounter in the future. "I believe we might have to tell him," said Dr. Wu's much to Naruto's shock. "Are you sure that it's a good idea?" asked Naruto feeling unsure of the suggestion. "I can tell that he's a trustworthy fellow and you know him best out of the both of us," said Dr. Wu's. Naruto looked thoughtful for a moment before letting out a sigh in resignation. "Alright, we'll tell him." Then they turned to face Spike, who was still looking around confusedly. Spike, there's something we need to tell you so please listen." Then Naruto told him everything, from when he met Kami within his dreamscape up to when he went to his old world. "So let me get this straight, you were requested by Kami to travel to other worlds and help the heroes there, right?" asked Spike. "That's the gist of it and the princesses also know of it, but all this is to be kept and nobody should know of this," said Naruto. "Why's that?" asked Spike curiously. "Should the knowledge of multiple dimensions or the TARDIS fall into the wrong hooves, it could lead to the complete disruption of everything that we know, which is in other words the end of all worlds," said Dr. Wu's, making Spike shiver fearfully at the thought of someone like Discord finding out about this. But what about Twilight and the others? I'm sure you can trust them with this secret too. Princess Luna suggested the same thing, but I just the right timing to tell them about it, said Naruto. Okay Naruto, and I promise to never tell any pony about this, said Spike. Thanks Spike, I remember that we were in the middle of having breakfast. Wanna join in? Sure. But that the trio helped themselves to a hearty breakfast and were soon drinking cups of green tea to while away the time. So what's to know about the world that we're headed to? Asked Naruto. Dr. Woofs opened up the scroll and was reading through its contents before looking up to answer Naruto's question. The place we're heading to is called the Dragon Realms, where there are many magical creatures and animals with high intelligence, and dragons were proud and just, revered among the inhabitants of the realms. You mean there are nice dragons in that world? Asked Spike with a look of surprise. Quite right, there are even a group called the Guardian Dragons, who take on the role of raising and training young dragons, as well guarding the dragon eggs, most of which are in a place called the Dragon Temple, said Dr. Woofs. Sounds like a cool place to be. I've never met any other dragon before in Equestria, said Spike with looks of excitement. However, an evil being known as the Dark Master led his army of dark forces with the intention to rule over the realms. Dragons immediately rose against him and fought valiantly, but it was a losing battle, especially when there were numerous raids on the dragon raids, which resulted in the dragon eggs being destroyed, endangering their very existence, with the worst being the one at the Dragon Temple. Spike gasped in shock and hid behind one of Naruto's in fear. The thought of the dragon eggs being destroyed frightened him a lot. Naruto wrapped his tail around the young dragon to comfort him. So all of the dragons are gone? Asked Naruto, inwardly was very angry at what the Dark Master and his army had done. Not quite, there are a few surviving guardian dragons who are in captivity, and a young purple dragon by the name Spyro, whose egg survived the raids, is on his way to rescue all of them, said Dr. Woofs. What else is there to know about this Dark Master? Asked Naruto. According to the scroll, the Dark Master was sealed away in a dimensional prison by the ancients, so it's his generals that are currently commanding the army for him, said Dr. Woofs. So what's my mission? Asked Naruto. You're to help Spyro rescue the 3 remaining guardian dragons from the Dark Master's army and push them back. We're currently over Dante's freezer where one of them are imprisoned. Dr. Woofs opened the door to reveal them hovering over a large island covered in ice and snow, surrounded by an enormous fortress which appears to be slowly crumbling apart. Okay then, I'm heading out. Naruto jumped out of the TARDIS as he descended towards the ground. He didn't feel any of his magic, chakra the sword. I guess that this world is allowing me to use all of my gear. Naruto activated his chakra wings and was slowly gliding towards the ground when he felt something land on his back and turned around to see that it was Spike, much to his surprise. Spike, what are you doing here? Naruto asked rather sternly. I wanted to come with you and help a fellow dragon out, Spike responded. It's going to be very dangerous out here. You should have stayed in the TARDIS with Doc, where it's much safer until we get back home. No need to worry about me, I can defend myself with my dragon breath, and I have the barrier crystal that you gave to me and the others. Spike held out a claw to show the bracelet which he had given out to them. Naruto was deep in thought. He has to meet up with his partner, but he can't start searching Dr. Woofs and the TARDIS in order to send Spike back, which leaves him with only one option. Fine, you can come along, but you are to remain on my back at all times unless I say otherwise, okay Spike? Said Naruto. Crystal clear, said Spike. The duo had landed on one of the inner courtyards of the fortress. Looking ahead they saw a giant wooden gate. Naruto and Spike cautiously approached the gate when it suddenly opened up and several creatures walked out before the gate closed behind them. They appear to be a group of apes with white fur, and standing before them is a much taller ape wearing armor and wielding a one-hand weapon with a shield. It's bad enough that a purple dragon is tearing through our forces, and now we have a pony and another purple dragon showing up here. The Dark Master will not stand for this, said the much larger ape angrily. Then would you mind telling us where he is? We happen to be looking for him, said Naruto. Spike snickered at his taunt. But you really think us to be that stupid to just tell you where the dragon is and let you go scot-free? Soldiers capture them, said the ape commander. The soldiers rushed forward to attack Naruto and Spike. If you have the illusion that you could beat us, then yes, Naruto spoke with a snarky tone. One of the apes leapt in the air in an attempt to pounce. Naruto darted to the side and launched a double kick to the sending it flying away, then he pointed a 4-hoof at a chakra bullet. A white magic circle appeared before a wide orb shot out of it and slammed into its target as it crashed into a wall. Another ape soldier came from behind with claws bared to catch him off guard, however Spike saw it coming and quickly turned and launched his green fire breath to char the enemy as it yelped, trying to put out the flames. Take that, you monkeys, said Spike smugly. Stay focused Spike and hang on. Naruto ducked under a swipe and spin around while using his tail to perform an uppercut which sent the ape into the air. He quickly leapt after it with a chakra arm at the ready before delivering a powerful straight punch to take it out. In his descent, Naruto channeled magic into his horn to cast a spell. Fire Lance. Several spears of flames appeared around Naruto before shooting towards the ape soldiers and inflicted critical damage. The ape leader raised his shield to block the flaming projectiles before roaring out in rage and charging forward with his sword raised to strike down the pony and baby dragon. "Naruto, watch out," shouted Spike. "I got this, Kasei no Ha battle stance." The azure broadsword appeared in flash of light and immediately moved forward to clash with the ape leader's sword. Spike breathed his green flames to attack, but the ape leader raised his shield to block it. "Your flames are too weak to burn me," the ape leader sneered at them. Naruto formed a chakra arm to grab the shield and wrenched it out of his grip before throwing it away, then Spike launched his green flames again, this time inflicting damage. "Not so cool without your shield now, huh?" said Spike with a smirk which is mirrored by Naruto, who held out a forehoof as a blue spinning orb took form, then he quickly stepped forward and rammed it into his gut, with the force sending him crashing through the wooden gate. "That's them taken care of, now let's go find Spyro," said Naruto. They jumped through the open gap of the gate and walked along a long corridor which ended with a spiraling staircase for them to ascend to the top. Once there they saw a long stone bridge which is built over a deep chasm to the other side. Naruto and Spike proceeded to cross the bridge and were halfway when they heard a loud shriek which seemed to come from above and looked up to see what it was. It was an enormous bat-like beast that is blue with purplish blue wings with a white-brown fur. They also saw an ape riding immediately, making it an enemy. The beast had already seen as the ape spurted to perform a nosedive straight at Naruto and Spike. The duo got ready to retaliate, however the beast opened its mouth to unleash a scream far more loudly than before, making them cringe in pain. My ears hurt," shouted Spike painfully while covering his ears with his claws. "Hang in there, Spike." Naruto looked up to see the beast almost upon them with its jaws wide open so as to chomp on them. He reached into his pouch with his tail before taking out a white crystal. "Spike, close your eyes." Then he threw it at the flying beast. When the crystal got close, it let out a bright flash of light which forced the ape and beast to close their eyes in pain and crash on the bridge. An eye for an ear. Wineflaw dash. Naruto rushed forward with his body covered with wind and slammed into them with enough force to knock them off the bridge and into the chasm below. "What a relief, that almost burst my eardrums," said Spike. "Me too, let's get a move on before any more of those screaming bats show up," said Naruto before continuing to cross the bridge until reaching the other side, where they descended down a spiral of stairs and through a corridor once more. "Hey Naruto, look up," said Spike. Naruto complied with his friend's suggest and was surprised to see numerous icicles sticking out from the ceiling throughout the corridor. "Yikes, we better be careful to not do anything to make them break off and fall on us," Naruto whispered with Spike nodding in agreement. They treaded lightly while keeping an eye on the icicles in case they would fall. Suddenly the ground shook rather violently, much to their shock, but that was the least of their as they quickly looked up to see the icicles shaking before breaking off to fall towards them. Spike used his fire breath to melt the ice. "Naruto, run. One step ahead of you." Naruto channeled chakra into his feet and took off at high speed, with the icicles falling behind them as if in pursuit. Some of the icicles would ahead of them, but Naruto would use the blade to slice them apart, while Spike uses his fire breath any remaining before finally reaching the exit and leapt through before skidding to a stop in the center of a courtyard. Both looked back at where they just came from and left out a sigh of relief. "That was too close, we almost got skewered," said Naruto, with Spike nodding in agreement. Looking around, the duo took note of numerous apes, more of those flying beasts sprawled out on the ground, and strangely enough pieces of red and black armor, clearly not belonging to any of the enemies around. Looking at all this, it's safe to say that Spyro was here. "I bet that he went inside that cave after fighting them." Spike pointed at a dark cave entrance close by. Then the ground shook again, and this time they heard a loud roar and are fighting whatever that roar belonged to. Then might as well join him in the party. Naruto ran into the cave and through the icy tunnel, with the rumbles becoming louder as they drew close. Soon they reached the end of the tunnel which led to a large circular and came upon an interesting sight. A small quadrupedal purple dragon with yellow medium-sized wings, large curved horns, a spiral-shaped spike on the tip of his tail, and spikes that resemble a mohawk running along his spine. With him is what appears to be a yellow dragonfly that is currently hovering close to him. Attacking them is what appears to be a humanoid covered in red metal armor. Above its big armored helmet lie two horns made of ice and wields a sword and shield also made of ice. They watched as Spyro flapped his wings to quickly move backwards to evade a horizontal slash from the enemy's sword before opening his mouth to launch a fireball. The armored being raised its shield to block it but was shattered when the fiery projectile exploded upon impact. "Spike, I need you to stay here where it's safe while I go and help out our soon-to-be friend," said Naruto before using his tail to place Spike on the floor. "Okay Naruto, be sure to show what you're made of," said Spike. "Sure thing bud." Naruto dashed forward and leapt into the battlefield with orange aura emitting from his horn fire lance. He summoned more of the spear-shaped flames around him before launching them at the armored enemy, with all hitting their target and causing him to stumble backwards as he landed next to Spyro, who looked at him in surprise of his sudden appearance. "Hope you don't mind if I join in to help you," said Naruto as he stood at the ready with Kasei no Ha positioned on his back. "Who are you?" asked Spyro. "Oh sure, we just asked the guy who he is without worrying that he could be trying to kill us like Ice King over," said the dragonfly sarcastically. "The name's Naruto Uzumaki and I'm here to help you guys out, can't say much more since that guy over there wouldn't give us the time." Naruto pointed a hoof at the Ice King who made another shield out of ice and was charging towards them. "Got a point there, don't wanna die in the middle of a conversation. For now you can call me Sparks and the big purple lizard is Spyro," said the now named Sparks. The Ice King let out a roar as he stomped the ground for shards of ice to fall from the ceiling above to fall on his enemies. "Look out." Spyro and Naruto quickly scattered to evade the incoming ice projectiles as the purple dragon opened his mouth to unleash a fire breath at the Ice King who raised his shield to block the flames. Naruto dashed forwards with a chakra-powered haymaker punch to shatter the ice shield into many pieces. The Ice King attacked with a vertical slash at the orange pony. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A pair of clones appeared alongside Naruto. The first clone darted to the front while transforming the blade into a shield to block the sword strike. The second channeled chakra to form a claw as he moved in between and sliced the sword into two. Naruto leapt over both clones and proceeded to perform a 5-hit combo on the defenseless Ice King, damaging him enough to knock off some parts of the armor. The Ice King roared out in rage as he opened his mouth to let out a blast of ice to hit Naruto and his clones, who were too close to dodge, freezing them solid instantly. Then the enemy made a spiked mace out of ice and approached Naruto with the weapon raised above his head ready to smash. "Naruto hang on." Spyro rushed forward and shot a fireball with the explosion, successfully knocking back the Ice King. Then he turned around to breathe fire onto the ice, instantly melting it for Naruto to break free, although the clones disappeared in puffs of smoke. "Phew, thanks for getting out of there. Now I know my food feels like when they're frozen in the fridge," said Naruto while shivering a bit. "Other than seeing a pony use magic and swing a sword around, can we please focus our attention on the problem at hand?" said Sparks pointing at the approaching Ice King. Yeah, sure. Naruto raised a hoof for a white magic rune to appear before him. Chakra bullet. Rapid fire. And small white orbs shot out of it straight towards the Ice King. Spyro followed suit as he opened his mouth to fire a stream of electricity. However, the Ice King raised a hand out and a transparent dome appeared around him, with the attacks bouncing off much to their surprise. Then he once more summoned ice shards to attack them, but this time the duo were ready. Pyro breath. Naruto opened his mouth to unleash a stream of flames, while Spyro did the same with his fire breath to combine to form a powerful flamethrower to melt the ice projectiles before they got any closer to them. "And here I thought only dragons can breathe fire, guess it's a trend now," said Sparks. "I'm going to end this with a fury attack," said Spyro. "Fury attack?" Naruto asked confusedly. "Let's just say that it's one of his super moves taught to him by a big red dragon, so you might want to be somewhere else right about now." Sparks flew away-eyed as Spyro slowly hovered in the air with fire gathering around him. Getting an idea of what's going to happen, Naruto slammed a hoof on the ground and called out Terra Bunker. The ground rumbled before forming a dome around Naruto. At that moment Spyro unleashed his attack as the fire rose up and exploded outwards. The Ice King attempted to summon another force field to block the attack, but he was too late as the flames quickly struck him before he could react, resulting in his defeat. "Whoa, that was pretty cool," said Naruto once the earth dome crumbled away for him to see the Ice King on the ground unmoving. "Naruto." The group turned to see Spike running towards and were surprised to see the color of his scales. "Another purple dragon, and here I thought Spyro was the only one," said Sparks in disbelief. "Well, the thing is that Spike and I are not from around here right now. Shouldn't we focus on helping the guardian dragon?" said Naruto. "You're right," said Spyro. The group went ahead to revive the yellow guardian, whom they found out to be quite the motormouth, much to their growing annoyance, and a fast one at that. "Miraculous, incredible, stupendous, a dragon and pony your size defeating that thing. Thank you, the dragon named Voltaire trailed off." "Spyro," said Spyro. "Naruto," said Naruto. "Man, this guy could possibly give Pinkie Pie a run for her bits." Voltaire resumed talking. "A purple dragon named Spyro, along with the orange pony named Naruto, amazing. Of course there were substantial rumors of a purple dragon countless generations ago, then there were no records of a pony capable of performing such unique magic, and I'm most curious of the baby purple dragon here with us. No wonder they gagged this guy, Sparks muttered. Ditto, said Spike riding on Naruto's back. And so much time has passed, so many things have been, but seeing all this tells me that I still have so much more to learn. Voltaire was still going on. Mr. Volt sir? Shouldn't we get going? Asked Sparks. Oh of course, but where to? Asked Voltaire confusedly. Well back to the Dragon Temple, said Spyro. A friend of yours is waiting, said Sparks. Ignitus? Asked Voltaire. That's the one. Of course. I've so much to tell him, many hypotheses to pose. I believe that. Are all dragons of this world weird? Spike whispered in Naruto's ear. Can't say for sure except for this one, Naruto responded. With all things said, the group made for the Dragon Temple with Spyro leading the way. There they met a red dragon by the name Ignitus, who was quite surprised to see the new additions, especially when he saw Spike on Naruto's back. Naruto briefly explained to them that they weren't from around here and that they came to help them. At the moment, Ignitus was having a conversation with Voltaire on the receiving end. Yes, Voltaire, it's good to see you as well, but we don't have time to waste on sentiment. Back to Cinder. She was doing what to you? Said Ignitus. Cinder's a chick? Asked Sparks. That's what caught your attention? Asked Spike. Naruto and Spike were told that Cinder is a black dragon who was the reason why the war turned in the Dark Master's favor, as she captured each of the guardian dragons off the battlefield until Ignitus was the only one left before he went into hiding. It's hard to be absolutely sure, Ignitus, but it seems she was using me as some suspended organic power source, said Voltaire. Huh? Sparks looked confused at what he said. She was using him as a battery, said Spyro. Why didn't he just so? He did, but you didn't get it, said Spike. How did you understand? Asked Sparks. Living in a library with a pony who reads a lot can increase your vocabulary. Not only that, she left with a glowing yellow orb, and I believe that I somehow powered it. Does it mean anything to you, Ignitus? Said Voltaire. Ignitus looked deep and thought perhaps. What I do know is that we need to rescue the other guardians before Cinder can power any more of those orbs. I agree, Ignitus, but first I'd like to impart some useful knowledge to Spyro vis-a-vis his recently acquired electricity-based device. What? Once again Spike was confused. Must be talking about electric breath that Spyro used when we fought the Ice King, said Naruto. Spark sighed in annoyance. Why didn't he just say so? That's the second time you said that, said Spike. Then Voltaire and Spyro went to the training room with Naruto, Spike and Sparks coming along to watch, but from a safe distance. There Spyro learned to use his electric stream attack to shock enemies and throw them around like ragdolls, then he learned how to suspend them in a makeshift electric cage in midair, called the electric arc. And then he was taught the elemental fury attack based on electricity to summon dark clouds from the sky that will rain down thunderbolts everywhere. Whoa, so that's the power of a dragon, said Spike in wonder. Hinata makes the dragons from our place look tame, said Naruto. Afterwards, everyone made their back to the meeting to speak with Ignitus. Spyro and Naruto. Cyril the Ice Guardian was taken to Tall Plains, said Ignitus. Tall Plains? Asked Naruto. The Tall Plains was once home to a proud ancient tribe called the Atlawa. Bless you, said Sparks. Sparks, said Spyro with Naruto and Spike frowning at the dragonfly. Ignitus continued with his explanation. The Atlawa were a people in tune with the rhythms of the seasons. Focused on their relationship to crops, their surroundings, their gods. They've all been driven underground by Cinder and her forces who have taken over the tribe's shrine. Sounds like we could help the Atlawa by taking back their shrine as well as finding Cyril, said Naruto. Indeed, that's where I sense Cinder is keeping Cyril, trying to power another crystal. You must find him before she succeeds. Right, it's never easy, is it? Said Sparks. Nothing worthwhile ever is, said Spyro. Besides, sometimes easy is kinda boring, said Naruto. You both being wise guys now? Asked Sparks. Let's just get going, Sparks, said Spike before jumping onto Naruto's back. With that, the group set out for Tall Plains on their mission to rescue the next Dragon Guardian and liberate an ancient tribe from the Dark Master's army. Naruto, Spike along with Spyro and Sparks were currently standing on a tall cliff with thick white mists down below them as they gazed upon a large rainforest ahead of them. So this place is the Tall Plains where one of the Dragon Guardians is kept prisoner, said Spike looking over Naruto's head from his back. Pretty much that, Spike, said Naruto. We need to hurry to where Cyril is and free him before Cinder powers up another crystal like Ignitus told us, said Spyro. Off we go to our potential doom to save a dragon, said Sparks. You really need to be more positive, Sparks, said Spike. I'll be when there's nothing to be negative about. Spyro rolled his eyes over from his brother's wisecracks. Come on, Sparks. Leaping on the miniature island sticking out before them, the group made their over to the rainforest, where 3 giant stones formed an arch to create an entrance of sorts. Standing at the entrance was one of the ape soldiers, except that the color of their fur was colored red. It had seen them as it turned around and ran into the forest. "He must have gone to alert the others, we need to go after him," said Spyro. "Right." Naruto responded in affirmation. They ran after the ape soldier into a tunnel and soon caught up with the ape soldier, however he howled loudly and more of the soldiers including an ape leader jumped out from the trees and landed before them. Spyro lowered his head and charged forward before ramming into the ape leader, then spinning around to strike him with his tail, before firing an electric arc to knock him into the air while suspended in a makeshift electric cage and finished him off with an explosive fireball. Naruto punched an ape soldier in the gut to force him to recoil backwards in pain, then planted his 4 hooves and spun around to buck another in the face, while Spike used his green fire breath to burn any enemy which tried to attack Naruto's blind spot and kept them at bay. Naruto punched the ground and the area around an ape soldier burst open to reveal a chakra arm, which performed an uppercut to launch him into the air, cook him Spike. Said dragon opened his mouth to launch a stream of green flame at the airborne ape, inflicting serious burns as it crashed back into the ground. Soon enough, all of the apes laid on the ground defeated. "These guys are the first of many more to come, we need to get a move on," said Naruto. They moved along and descended down a huge hollow tree trunk and exited to find themselves in an area surrounded by tall cliff walls. Then more ape soldiers jumped off a tall edge above them and landed on the ground before them as an ape commander remained on the ledge and looked down at them with an evil smirk on his face. "Well, what do we have here?" "Enemies of the master," said the ape commander. "Correct, and I don't need to guess that you're going to try to kill us," said Naruto. "Not try, will. Get them boys." 2 ape leaders appeared by his side and jumped off the ledge, while several ape soldiers came out of a nearby giant hollow tree trunk from the left side of the area. Spyro launched a stream of electricity at one of the soldiers, shocking it before jerking his head to the side to send the shocked ape crashing into one of its comrades. He heard a hissing sound and turned to see a lit dynamite land close to him. Spyro quickly used his tail to knock it away from him just in time before it exploded in midair. Then he looked up to see the ape commander holding another lit dynamite with a smirk on his face as he threw it at him. Naruto was punching at the ape leaders which were attacking him in a pincer formation, but he was ready for them Kasei no Ha, battle stance. The azure broadsword appeared by his side in a flash of light. Hold on Spike, Windflaw dash. The wind swirled around him before taking off at high speed. The ape leaders looked around confusedly for the pony, however they began to feel something like a blade cutting every part of their body and have no way of putting up a defense before being slammed in the gut hard enough to take them down. Naruto stopped in between them with the wind dying out to signal the end of the spell. "Naruto, there's more coming at us." Spike pointed behind them as the ape soldiers charged at them. "Got it, Shadow Clone Jutsu." Naruto concentrated on his chakra, then several copies appeared in a puff of smoke. "Get him." The clones nodded in affirmation before charging at the enemies. That was when sparks flew towards. "Hey Naruto, my purple bro over there could use some help with a certain ape that has a love for blowing stuff up," said Sparks. "On it." Naruto galloped over to where Spyro was currently knocking the dynamite's throw by the ape commander away from himself. "Hey. Why don't you come down here and fight like an ape?" Spike called. Naruto and Spyro could only sweat drop from what the young dragon just said. "How about you make me come down?" As soon as he said those words, the ape commander felt something wrap around his hand and saw some sort of tendril made out of white energy before tracing it to where it was coming out of the orange pony. Naruto smirked mischievously before pulling hard for him to fall over the ledge towards them. Spyro jumped towards him and flapped his wings hard enough to send him crashing into the rock wall. Naruto raised a 4-hoof with a white rune appearing before him, chakra cannon. He fired a large wide orb to smash the ape further in and knocking him unconscious. "All you had to do was ask," he made a witty comment. They looked around the area for a bit and were about to move on when Naruto noticed a stone block nearby and approached it curiously. "What do you think it is?" asked Spike. "Don't know, might be some sort of switch or something. Maybe we should press and see what happens," asked Naruto. "I'm kinda curious myself." "Okay then." A chakra arm came out of Naruto's back and slammed down on the stone block as it was pressed down. Then the group heard a rumble and turned to see a stone totem rise from the ground. "Well, that did something. Maybe we should find more of these stones switched and activate them," said Spike. "So you want to solve a puzzle instead of searching for a dragon?" Sparks looked skeptical. "These switches might help us get around to searching for Cyril," said Naruto. "I seriously doubt it." "Let's get going Sparks," said Spyro. They went through where the ape soldiers came from. There they saw an ape jump through an opening and quickly went after it. Luckily enough, it had led them to another switch which was immediately activated before continuing on their way. Climbing up a few ledges, the group came upon several apes standing guard around some miniature islands, which had wooden cages with what appeared to be anthropomorphic llamas, and one of those bat-like creatures now identified as dreadwings came and carried on of the cages away to who knows where. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," said Spyro with Naruto nodding in agreement. "Is that what I think it does?" asked Sparks. "Yeah, we've gotta help. It's pretty much a given, since the Atlawans are obviously no friends of Cinder," said Naruto. "Walking over as well," said Naruto. "Oh brother," Sparks grumbled. Spyro and Naruto went ahead to fight the apes, with a few being knocked over the edge to the unseen bottom below. Let's just hope for them that the saying lends one wings is actually real, cause they're gonna be needing in their situation. Spyro charged forward and rammed an ape soldier into the remaining cage, hard enough to break the lock for the Atlawan. "Watch it, would ya?" the Atlawan grumbled as he walked out of the cage. "I was just trying to help," said Spyro. "Well, the Atlawa and Kane need no help," said the now identified Kane. "Normally when a prisoner gets saved, they say thank you," said Naruto with a frown. "Well, no one asked you to save me." "Rarity might not like this one," Spike muttered. "Forget this guy, Spyro." "Come on," said Sparks, wanting to get away from the grouch as soon as possible. However, Spyro ignored him. "What did they want with you anyway? It's none of your business. Now move, I have a tribe to save." Kane walked past and away from them rather rudely. "Oh, you're welcome," Sparks shouted after him. With nowhere else to go, Naruto and the others doubled back and took an unexplored path to the right, only to find themselves standing on the very ledge which the ape commander was on. "So we pretty much walked in a circle. Next time we bring a map with us," said Sparks with a twitching eye. "Not exactly, Sparks, look." Spyro pointed at the 4 raised totems ahead of them. Pressing those switches wasn't really a waste, was it, Sparks?" Spike smirked at the dragonfly. No comment. They jumped from one totem to the other before landing on the first hollow tree trunk, which they went up on and found an opening on the left for them to go through. Suddenly 2 large round balls rolled round the bend before stopping before them and uncurling to reveal animals resembling armadillos with large hind legs. "Those are armadillos," said Spyro. "Then that makes them an enemy." In the meantime, Naruto took a stance with Spyro doing the same. Both animals curled up into balls and rolled towards them quickly with the intent to bash them. Spyro flapped his wings a bit to float to one side as he unleashed a blast of fire to counter the attack, which seems to harm it greatly. Naruto waited for the second armadillo to get closer before making his move. Stellar gear change, shield. The glaive glowed brightly before transforming into the shield, then he slammed it to the ground and tilted for the armadillo to roll into it and launch itself into the air. Chakra bullet. Rapid fire. He aimed a 4-hoof at it and shot a barrage of wide orbs, juggling it in midair before crashing to the ground before they resuming their journey to the shrine. "How much further do we have to go?" asked Sparks. So far they had gone through the forest, crossed long bridges, and even fought several stone golems called stone brutes along the way, and right now they had just exited an ancient ruin. "Can't say for sure, but I know we've come a long way though," said Spike. They heard a rumble and turned to the top of a nearby waterfall. There were a group of stone brutes menacingly approaching Kane, who was backing away, completely unaware that he was close to the edge of the waterfall. "Kane, watch out, behind you," Spyro yelled out, but the warning came out too late as the Atlawan fell over and into the water, with the current carrying him towards the edge of the forest. "Yeah, I know the guy's an ingrate, but you guys gotta do something, and fast," said Sparks. "No need to tell us, I'm already on it." Naruto channeled chakra to his 4-hoof and was about to launch a chakra tendril at Kane to pull him to safety. But Spyro beat him to it by breathing out a stream of ice to freeze the edge of the river, which prevented Kane from going over. "Buddy, you're getting weirder and weirder by the second." Spyro had to nod in agreement to Sparks' statement. "You can call it weird, but I call it convenient. Now let's get down there and wreck those guys." Naruto jumped off the ledge and charged at the stone brutes, with Spyro soon following after. Naruto channeled magic to his horn in preparation for a magic spell. Water stream. Water then shot out of the river and hit them with a high pressure. "Zap them, Spyro," Spike called out. Spyro did just that as the golem continuously spasmed from the electricity coursing through their rocky body before finally collapsing in heaps of stone. Naruto and Spyro had learned earlier that these guys can easily shrug off their melee attacks, but other techniques are effective. "Where did Kane go?" Naruto looked around for the Atlawan. "He must have left during the fight," said Spike. "Like I said earlier, the guy's an ingrate," said Sparks. "We'll definitely run into him along the way and hopefully he wouldn't find himself in danger," said Spyro. And sure enough, after traversing more parts of the and defeating more of Cinder's forces, the group found themselves standing before a cluster of miniature grassy pyramids, and Kane is currently bashing up a couple of ape soldiers. He turned and saw them with a frown. "You again? Why don't you get out of here and leave me in peace? I'm the boss here, nobody else," said Kane. "Boss of what?" Sparks retorted. Spyro raised a paw and shushed him to be quiet so you're all alone. Only until I kick these bums out. Which reminds me, I can't stand around chatting with purple dragons, horses and mosquitoes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, who are you calling a mosquito? Asked Sparks indignantly. And for your information, I'm a pony not a horse. Naruto looked annoyed. Besides, it's not safe for you here, said Kane. Like you're one to talk, Spike muttered. Oh, concerned about our welfare now? Said Sparks. Spyro spoke up. No need, we can take care of ourselves. Anyway, we need to get to the shrine. Kane simply and walked away. You'll never make it. Then he dealt a backhand at an ape soldier, knocking it off the pyramid. There was a bit of a puzzle for the group to solve if they wanted to get past the pyramids. It involved them having to roll 4 stone balls into curved holders in order to open the wooden gate ahead. Naruto made solving this puzzle a lot faster and easier with the help of his shadow clones, as well as dealing with the ape soldiers that got in the way. Then they climbed to the top of the tallest pyramid and glided past the open gate where they met Kane once again. The shrine god has not been appeased since Indra's forces came. He is not happy, said Kane. So is anyone fun around here? Said Sparks. You can't possibly face the god of the shrine alone. You might be right, but if you had been watching. None of us tried doing anything on our own throughout our venture here, said Naruto. Naruto is right, not all of us are loners, Kane. I'm not going alone. Spyro walked past Kane with Naruto and Spike following him. Maybe someday you'll learn that 2 heads are better than 1 even if one of them is a pinhead. Sparks nodded in agreement. Yeah, what? He turned to glare at Spyro, who was smirking along with Naruto, and Spike was snickering. They dropped along a couple of platforms before stopping before a large ship made entirely of stone and wood. Naruto and Spike suspected that magic must have been used to help it fly. I'm not sure I like the looks of thing, said Spyro. Now you tell me, said Sparks. Well, we don't see any other path to follow, so we might as well hitch a ride, said Naruto. But that said, they hopped aboard and the ship starts to slowly move away from the island and across the sky. Suddenly the cabin doors opened and several ape soldiers ran out and attacked them. And here I thought it was going to be a relaxing flight, Sparks muttered to himself. Shadow clone jutsu. A couple of clones appeared by Naruto's side before charging back at the enemy with him in the lead. Naruto swiveled around and bucked an ape in the face to send it flying away from him. Chakra horn slash. Chakra was channeled into his horn and took on the shape of a longer horn, then he lunged at another ape soldier and slashed through his armor, then dealt a chakra-infused punch to finish him off. Take this. Spike opened his mouth and launched a fireball at one of the apes which exploded upon impact, much to Naruto's surprise. Whoa, that's just like Spyro's move. Where did you learn to do that? Asked Naruto. Back at the temple, Ignitus was a bit curious about my green flame and decided to teach me a bit about how to use my breath, although I'm too young to be able to perform a fury attack, Spike explained to him. That's pretty cool, though you might want to keep it a secret from Twilight about where you learned it. Let's get back into fighting these apes, said Naruto before charging at the next opponent. Spyro was currently slashing at an ape leader with his claws before using his horns to knock it into the air and jumped after it before unleashing a combo of attacks and finishing up with a tail slam to the ground. These guys just keep coming. I'm going to clear them all out with an electric fury attack. Audit, protect. Naruto activated the barrier crystal as a transparent dome appeared around Naruto and Spike as they watched Spyro slowly rise to the air and dark clouds began to appear above them before unleashing bolts of lightning down upon them and taking out all of the enemies. Naruto disabled the barrier now that the ship is clear of apes. Well, that was fun, and it looks like we've arrived at our stop, said Sparks. Just like he said, the ship had docked at the next island to which they got off and went on their way. There were more enemies and booby traps, but they were able to deal with them as they traversed the forest before finally exiting it before finding Kane yet again, standing before a long bridge leading across to the shrine where Cyril is supposed to be. Am I the only one wondering how he got here before us without taking the ship? Spike whispered into Naruto's ear. No, you aren't, Naruto quietly responded. I have to admit, you've done better than I thought possible, said Kane. Sparks looked at the Atlawin smugly, saying that had to hurt. More than you can imagine. There are some things you should know about the shrine before you enter. Shriek. Everyone turned to the sound which came from the shrine to see a dragon-like figure ascend towards the sky and fly away to who knows where. Something tells me that we were too late and that Cinder has already powered up another crystal from Cyril, said Spike. In that case, we're done here, said Sparks. Not before we save Cyril, said Spyro. It's the main reason why we came all this way, said Naruto. The Atlawa shrine has been desecrated and the god of the shrine has not been given tribute since Cinder's forces arrived. But if you can subdue his anger, the balance will be returned. And my people can come home, said Kane. That's fine, but we came to free Cyril, said Spyro. You must go through the god of the shrine to free him. I knew you were gonna say that, Sparks grumbled to himself. This is killing two birds with one stone scenario, said Naruto. The group went across the bridge and had arrived at the entrance of the shrine. There they saw a large ice blue dragon lying unconscious on a slab of stone with numerous piles of rock all over the place. Sparks was flying ahead of them. Be careful, Sparks, remember last time, Spyro warned. I know, but Cinder left and don't see any ice kings hanging around here, said Sparks. Suddenly the piles of rock started to shake violently and converged towards one point where they began to piece themselves together with thick vines weaving through them as Spyro and the others watched with wide eyes. It slowly stood on two stony feet to reveal a golem far larger than any of the stone brutes that they had encountered in the forest. Roar. The golem roared angrily before taking one ground-shaking step after another towards them. When will I ever learn? When things look good, run for the hills, said Sparks. I guess that's the god of the shrine, said Naruto. Yeah, and we'll have to defeat it if we're to save Cyril, said Spyro. Okay then, things are going to get dangerous again, Spike, so I'm going to need you off my back and at a safe distance. Okay Naruto, just be careful, Spike before jumping off Naruto's back and standing close to the entrance of the shrine. Okay Spyro, let's go. Naruto leapt into the fray with Spyro close behind. Chakra bullet. Rapid fire. Naruto raised a forehoof and fired a barrage of wide orbs at the golem, only for the projectiles to bounce off its body upon its body. The golem reared one of its stone fists back before thrusting it forward as it sped with the vine, allowing for longer range, but Naruto jumped to the side to evade the attack for it to hit where he had been. I guess this one is tougher than the others, so I'll have to hit harder. Spyro strafed along the right side of the golem and launched a fireball as it exploded on impact with the stone giant roaring in pain before turning its attention to the purple dragon and retaliating with another punch with him jumping away to avoid it before firing another fireball at it. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Several clones appeared alongside and charged forward to attack. They all leapt into the air and charged up a Rasengan as they rammed it into the golem's body, with the spheres slowly breaking the rocks. The golem refused to stand idly and be attacked by spinning its upper body like a top and knocking the clones away from it as they hit the ground before disappearing in puffs of smoke. I guess that won't work much. I got an idea. Spyro waited for the golem to launch another one of its fists at him before jumping back to hit the ground, then he opened his mouth and used his recently iced breath on the golem's fist, anchoring it to the ground. The golem roared out angrily as it tried to break out of the ice with cracks appearing on it. Good one, Spyro. It's my turn now. Naruto used his tail to reach into his pouch and took out a couple of impulse crystals. He threw them at the golem's hand as they unleashed blasts of magic, causing it to shatter into many pieces. The god of the shrine charged angrily at the blonde pony to make it pay for the loss of its arm. Naruto ducked low under the swing of the stony arm and used a windflaw dash to quickly run in between its legs to appear behind it. He created pair of chakra arms as they came close together to perform a Rasengan which is larger than normal, before thrusting it towards the stone giant's back. Giant Bull Rasengan. The attack grind into the golem's skin with the force causing it to skid forwards a bit. Spyro was currently employing the hit and run tactic while using fireballs and ice breath to inflict damage. He created a sheet of ice on the ground as the golem slipped on it and fell on its back, then he jumped above it and used the fire breath to inflict further damage before landing at the other side. The golem tried to get back onto its feet, but then noticed that it has been restrained somehow. It turned to the side to see tendrils made of white energy wrapped around parts of its body, courtesy of the blonde pony and his clones. Then it looked up to see what appears to be the original diving towards it. Sorry about this, magical Rasengan. Naruto formed another spiral sphere whilst channeling magic from his horn into it for orange streaks to swirl around it before ramming the technique into its chest, inflicting enough damage to knock it out. I'm sure that did it, said Spyro. Pretty much, said Naruto. Hey guys, look. Spike had ran up to them and was pointing elsewhere. They turned to see that the Atlawa had returned and were bowing before them, much to their confusion as Cyril slowly regained consciousness. What are they doing? That's when Cain walked up to them. You have subdued the god of the shrine, restored balance to the seasons, the land, our world. The Atlawas want to worship you now. Spark smirked at hearing that worship. Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. I have never gotten the respect I deserve, the praise that should be mine. We appreciate the gesture, but this isn't something for them to worship us about, said Naruto. He's right, and we also need to get back to our own home to figure out how to stop Cinder for good, said Spyro. My dear Atlawas, I am the mighty Sparks, Scourge of Despot, said Sparks. You're really milking this for all it's worth, Sparks, said Spike with a quirked eyebrow. Yes, old boy, we'd like nothing more than to stay and be part of your primitive barbaric society, but duty calls, said Cyril after finally recovering. Geez, talk about a sharp tongue, said Naruto. If you must, you must. But know that you're now part of the Atlawa tribe, one of us. Thanks Kane, said Spyro. Sparks was still prattling on I am the mighty Spar whatever, he gave and flew after with Spike snickering at him. The group started to walk away from the shrine, with the Atlawas still bowing in gratitude. By the way, you were right, said Kane. About what? Spyro looked a bit confused. Maybe two heads are better than one after all even if one of them belongs to an annoying mosquito. You're right about that, Naruto smirked in agreement. Mosquito, me is that oh, Sparks looked flabbergasted. A few hours later, the group had returned to the Dragon Temple and were having a discussion of what had happened during Cyril's imprisonment. Yes, Voltaire. I see that months of tortured captivity has done nothing to slow that electric tongue of yours incessantly wagging, said Cyril with a look of annoyance. It's just that it's all so exciting, exhilarating, enchanting, enthralling. Voltaire stumbled a bit in his speech. Alright, no more thesaurus for you pal, said Sparks. Ditto, if only I can say the same for Twilight, said Spike. Do that and she'll not let you have any gems for a week, said Naruto, making Spike shudder at the thought of it. All of you please be quiet. It is certainly encouraging that Spyro and Naruto have been able to free two of you to allow this reunion, but haven't we forgotten someone? Said Ignitus. Yes, of course Pterodor, said Cyril. Precisely, now how do we proceed? I believe I can help Ignitus, Cyril turned towards Spyro. Well young chap, since you learned a few things about ice on tall plains, I suggest we adjourn to the training room so that I can teach you some more. The legacy of the ice dragons of yore my ancestors, who come from the best of this somewhat bedraggled lineage is long and storied. With my help, rescuing Pterodor should be a certainty. This guy sure loves to hear himself talk, Naruto muttered under his breath. Their pomposity, arrogance, and pretentiousness are odious to the extreme, Voltaire groaned in annoyance. Cyril simply ignored his fellow guardian dragon and spoke to Spyro. Shall we? Yes sir, said Spyro before walking towards the training room to learn how to use the ice breath properly. With the training from Cyril, Spyro was able to master the ice stream to the point that he could quickly freeze his enemies to a standstill before taking them out with melee attacks. Next was the ice shards, which Naruto took note that it shared similarities to his icicle shot spell as he fires sharp pointed ice projectiles at his enemies. The last lesson was learning how to use the Ice Fury attack, which enables him to instantly freeze surrounding enemies and shatter them into pieces in one move. After the completion of Spyro's training, they returned to the meeting room to discuss their next plan of action, where they heard Ignitus bring up a rather queer theory. So what exactly are you saying, Ignitus? Asked Cyril. Yes, your hypothesis is an intriguing one, but is perplexing to the extreme, said Voltaire. Sparks was confused. He said that he doesn't know what he's talking about, Spyro explained. Dude, I never know what he's saying. And I doubt you ever will, said Spike with a smirk. What I'm saying is that Cinder is harnessing the Guardian's power to unlock a portal that must never be opened, said Ignitus. Those words caught Naruto's attention as he thought back to the briefing in the TARDIS before he left with Spike tagging along. Hang on, I remember Doc telling me that the Dark Master was sealed away in a dimensional prison by the ancients. I'm sure that's the portal she's trying to open. Why? What's behind this portal? Spyro asked curiously. That doesn't concern you right now. What does concern you is getting to Munitions Forge and freeing Pterodor before she can create another crystal from his powers. And before the volcano blows its, Voltaire began to talk but was interrupted by Ignitus. That's enough Voltaire, there's plenty of time. So what's to know about Munitions Forge? Asked Naruto. Ignitus proceeded to explain Munitions Forge is an island dominated by Bazitlig, an unstable volcano that makes life on the surface very dicey. The locals, who live underground, have been forced to mine the metals that Cinder uses to forge her army's weapons. What are the locals called? Asked Spyro curiously. They're called Manwiersmals. Do I need to write that down? Asked Sparks. Sparks, pay attention, Spike spoke with a small frown. Rumor has it that Cinder is holding Pterodor somewhere in the mines. We know she's using him to power the last of the crystals she needs to open the portal. Free him before she gets the chance, said Ignitus. Concerning you telling us that we have more time relates to when the volcano blows up, right? Man, why didn't we just stay in tall plains? Oh, I'm a big deal there, Sparks grumbled. Sure you were, said Spike with clear sarcasm in his voice as he jumped up to Naruto's back. Quit complaining, Sparks, maybe there's a tribe on Munitions Forge you can save too, said Spyro rolling his eyes. Yeah, but there's always something special about the first tribe you save. You know. Now that you mention it, I remember the country my team and I saved used my name for their bridge, said Naruto. See what I mean? Later on, the group had landed on the shores of the destination and looked at the environment. Far ahead was a large, very active volcano spewing lava and brimstones, where numerous machines in operation at work with large metal pipes pouring lava into the sea and rails leading in and out of mine shafts and pools of molten magma could be seen everywhere. "Boy, is it big," said Sparks in awe of the mountain. "You're calling the mountain by its name or describing it?" asked Naruto with a quirked eyebrow. "Both actually. Boy, it's big. But no time for sightseeing, Sparks. Time to get serious, let's go," said Spyro. "Oh, not again. Times like these, I'm really glad I'm fireproof," said Spike. They charged forwards and encountered a pair of ape soldiers who appeared different from the last two, as the color of their fur is gold. Spyro used his ice breath to freeze one of the apes into an ice ball for Naruto to quickly move in and give a hard kick to sending into the other ape, then Spike launched a green fireball which exploded upon impact, taking them down. They heard chattering and turned to see several ape soldiers and an ape leader run out of a mine shaft and straight towards them. Spyro and Naruto charged back at them and responded with melee attacks until they were all taken down. Then they ventured into the mine shaft where small flying insects called fire beetles came out of their hives and attacked them, forcing Naruto and Spyro to destroy them and their hives to prevent more from spawning. Moving further down the tunnel and taking down apes along the way, the group ran into what appears to be a bipedal mole with a long mustache and wearing an iron hat topped with a lit candle. "Man, is he small," said Spyro. "I'm beginning to get confused whether we're describing or simply calling them that," said Spike. The mole yelped and turned towards their voices. "What's that? Who's there?" He started sniffing the air. "It's me, Spyro. And the former god of tall plains, Sparks," said Sparks, puffing his chest with pride. "And ignoring him, I'm Naruto with my buddy here, Spike," said Naruto. "Hi there," Spike called out on greeting. "You don't carry the stench of Cinder's beasts, so you must be friends," said the man Wiersmal with a French accent. "We are, and who are you?" asked Spyro. "I am MmWhat, leader of the man Wiersmals, but I'm not much of a leader anymore. Those of my people who aren't mining for Cinder are holed up in the caves, scared out of their wits, waiting for Bizitbig to blow." Suddenly the ground quaked for a moment before stopping, which shouldn't be long. "If you would help me free them, perhaps there's something I could do for you?" said MmWhat. "I don't know, we're here to rescue a big friend of ours." "Is he a mighty dragon?" "Yes, why?" "Because I know where he's being kept in the mines near a large labor camp where my own brother Eximer toils away. We can help each other." "You have a point there, so what should we do?" asked Naruto. "Oh, it's simple enough, but we've got to hurry. Bizitbig is getting more unstable by the minute. We must clear these caves before we can help your friend," said MmWhat. "You're asking him for directions. Wow, talk about the blind leading the blind," said Sparks with a roll of his eyes. "Forget him, MmWhat. We're in," said Spyro. "Then we should split up, it will make things easier and faster this way," said Naruto. "Okay, Naruto." Spyro and Sparks went into one tunnel while Naruto and Spike went through another. They took out the guards that were enforcing the man Wiersmals to dig before freeing them by destroying the purple crystal that were producing a purple electricity which served as shackles. After freeing about 4 of the man Wiersmals in the cave, MmWhat burrowed towards them after making sure that his people were safe. "Ha ha. You did it, you did it. 1,000 thanks." MmWhat tried to kiss them, but Naruto held him back with a forehoof. "It's no problem, just hold back on the man kisses," said Naruto. Accidentally kissing Sasuke was a memory he sealed away, and he definitely doesn't want to remember it for the rest of his life. "Well, you did your part, now I'll do mine. Your friend is being kept in the center of the past the labor camp where my brother Eximer is working. Find him and let him know we're friends, and he'll tell you how to proceed," said MmWhat. "How will we know Eximer?" asked Spyro. "Yeah, all you man are we smalls look the same to me," said Sparks. "He's right about that," Spike spoke in agreement. MmWhat chortled in amusement. "Oh, you will know him, trust me. He's the most cantankerous, hard-nosed man Wiersmal around. Whatever you do, don't get on his bad side." "We'll keep that in mind," said Naruto as he watched MmWhat burrow underground. Suddenly a wall behind them exploded to reveal another cavern as a few ape soldiers appeared to attack them. Naruto channeled chakra to his 4 hooves to form claws before pouncing at them and proceeded to slash at them. Then he used the Kasei no Ha in its chakram form and threw it at them as it ricocheted upon impact before returning to his side with the apes down and out on the ground. The gang went in further and happened upon a large pool of lava where something jumped out of it and landed before them. It is a large worm with scorpion-like characteristics as it sports a pair of pincers which snapped at them. Naruto recalled Ignitus calling these creatures magma worms. 2 more shot out of the lava and approached them. They opened their mouths and spat blobs of magma at them, but Naruto and Spyro moved out of the way to avoid them. Spyro used his ice breath to freeze, then Naruto created 2 shadow clones as they each picked on a target and used the Kasei no Ha to slash them multiple times until they fell to the ground. The group left the area through a doorway into another room where they saw an ape soldier riding on what appears to be a giant insectoid creature that resembles a scorpion and are known to be called buffalo beetles. Naruto took to the defense by summoning the Kasei no Ha in its shield form to block the stream of fire shot from its stinger. Spyro jumped over him and was rapidly firing ice shards at it, forcing the buffalo beetle to recoil back from the effective elemental attack. Naruto quickly followed up by having a chakra arm stretch out from his back with a Rasengan and rammed it into a wall with enough force to dent it. What is this doing here? Spike wondered. They were currently standing in front of what appears to be an old small temple with a large bell at the center. I bet you can't ring that bell, Spyro, said Sparks with a smirk. Why would I want to? Spyro looked at Sparks with a quirked eyebrow. Oh, you're scared? Spyro frowned a bit. I'm not scared. Sparks shook his head in a faux disappointed manner. Oh, the big special dragon is scared of the mean old bell. Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry. Oh no. I'm sorry, baby. Why don't I get your pillow all laid out? Knock it off, Sparks. Now isn't the time for silly challenges, said Naruto with a frown. Spyro walked over to the rope connected to the bell and hit it for it to ring, as well as make the whole cave to quake. Then the bell dislodged from its holder and fell right on top of Spyro, much to the shock of Naruto and the others. Spyro. Naruto rushed over to help. He couldn't risk using the Kasei no Ha or jutsus in fear of hurting Spyro inside and tried to pull the bell out with his chakra claws, but it had embedded itself into the ground. Sparks was just as worried. Can you hear me? Are you okay, buddy? Hey, listen, forget about those cracks about your fatness and your being purple and stupid and fat. All right. You said fat twice, Sparks, Spike said with a deadpan expression. Suddenly the bell shook wildly and continued to do so, making Naruto and the others back away right as Spyro blasted his way out by fired a green cone-shaped blast of energy, much to their surprise and relief. Looks like you gained another elemental breath, and with good timing too, said Naruto happily. That's a relief, said Spike. Did you say something, Sparks? Asked Spyro. Me? No. I was just talking out loud, thinking of my day. I gotta do, said Sparks. Oh, I just thought I heard something before I blasted my way out. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no. Must be hearing things. Sparks flew away from them. That's strange, cause we heard you apologizing for all the cracks you made at Spyro, said Spike. You two must have been hearing things too, said Sparks in denial, much to their amusement. A group of apes showed up from another tunnel. Apparently they had heard the sound of the bell and came to investigate. Spyro took this chance to try out his new earth breath, and it served to be quite powerful compared to the other elements, while Naruto and Spike provided backup in the fight. They moved along into another mine shaft, where they saw a large train engine with a caboose loaded with purple crystals hooked to the back. There were two ape leaders standing before an ape wearing a brown belt and a tall purple hat resembling a drum hat like that of a conductor. Come on, you worthless waste of flesh, let's go. We've got to hop on steam and get back to that flea-bitten dragon. The crystal is almost ready and the volcano is right on the brink, said the conductor before jumping into the train as the other two apes boarded the caboose. They're heading to where Territor is, we've got to catch them, said Spyro. They ran towards the rails. But then three ape soldier pulled a few levers which closed the gate. We've got to push those levers to reopen the gate. You take one while I'll take the other, said Naruto. Naruto ran up to the first platform and used his shadow clones to take down the apes on it before pushing the lever to open the first of the three locks. Spyro was on the second platform, using his fireball to knock them off before pushing the second lever. They went down to the last one guarded by an ape commander and made short work of him to push the last lever, therefore opening the gate. Spyro and Naruto ran over to a nearby operable three-wheeled mine cart and hopped onto it, ready to give chase. You don't know how to drive this thing, said Sparks. How hard can it be? It's on rails, Spyro replied. Boy. Famous last words. Plus we don't have time for tutorials right now, said Naruto. Spyro started up the mine cart before passing through the gate and were speeding along the rails. Soon they were able to catch up with the train. The ape leaders saw them coming as they moved to the back of the caboose with lit dynamites in their hands and threw them. Naruto and Spyro quickly tilted the mine cart from left to right in order to evade the dynamite, then they retaliated firing of fireballs and chakra cannons, while Spike provided support by flinging impulse crystals at the caboose. Hurry, they're gaining, shouted conductor, increasing the train speed. Don't let them get away, said Naruto using the bolt chain spell to zap with the apes on board. Then single rail track splits into two with steam on the left and the group on the right. Hurry up, you wretches, they're gaining. The apes continued to throw dynamites, but Naruto uses the chakra bullet to detonate them in midair before they got any closer, and Spyro continued to launch fireballs at them. This continued before the tracks joined together with the train once again in front and the mine cart behind in pursuit. Okay, that's it, playtime's over. We were playing to begin with, Spike asked sarcastically. The exchange of fire between them resumed through the rails until the track split up again, but this time Naruto fired a well-aimed chakra cannon, which was able to blow up the caboose, along with the ape leaders aboard. Suddenly the conductor slowed down the train ride as the tracks converged back into one with Spyro and the others in front of him. "I gonna run you brats right off the track." "Uh-oh, Spyro, you better speed up before he rams us," shouted Naruto. "I know," Spyro responded as he increased the mine cart speed with the conductor pursuing them. They turned left and right until the tracks divided again for the third time as the train went the other way, not before they heard the conductor saying something strange. "End of the line," said conductor evilly. "What does he mean by that?" asked Spike confusedly. "I think we're about to find out," shouted Sparks pointing ahead. They looked to see that the track had ended and they were about to go over. "Everyone get off the mine cart now," shouted Naruto. Spyro and Naruto jumped off the mine cart and slowly glided towards the ground safely, with the mine cart falling into a pool of lava. "I don't think I'll be riding any roller coasters for a while," Spike muttered to himself. "We've lost them for now, but we need to keep a move on," said Spyro. They moved on ahead and climbed a few ledges in order to get on top of a railroad which was elevated above them earlier, but they had to make sure to avoid any incoming mine carts onto other platforms nearby. Soon they went inside a tunnel and emerged at the end where they met another one of the MmWhat's. When they drew closer to talk to it, the MmWhat quickly turned around and raised his shovel to attack them. Wait. We're on your side," said Spyro. "More like spies for the conductor or that flying beast Cinder," said the elderly MmWhat. "You should be able to tell us from Cinder's soldiers by our scent." "Moliere said that we don't smell like them," said Naruto trying to defuse the problem. "You know my brother. He's alive," said the MmWhat. "Then you must be Exemer," said Spike. "Yeah, your brother is all safe and sound. But I gotta say, he's the friendly one in the family," said Sparks. Exemer looked apologetic. I'm sorry. In these dark times, one can't take chances." "So Moliere is alive. Wonderful news, but why did he send you here?" "Well, he said that you might be able to tell us where our friend Pterodor is," said Spyro. "If he's a big dragon, I certainly can. The majority of the MmWhat's are kept here in this camp, forced to live above ground and mine for Cinder, and there are rumors that your dragon friend is being kept somewhere inside in the dark pits of the volcano. All of us are doomed." Spyro frowned a bit along with Naruto. "Not if we have anything to say about it." "What do you mean?" asked Exemer, looking surprised. "Yeah, what do you mean?" asked Sparks. "I mean we're going to free the MmWhat's, venture to the darkest pits of Bizitbig and find Pterodor," said Spyro, and Naruto nodded in agreement. "That's pretty much the activities for the day," said Spike. "And then it's off to Karaik," said Sparks. Everyone just looked at him like he was crazy. "Alright, time for a little prison break. Shadow clone jutsu." Naruto created a large number of clones as they charged into the labor camp with Spyro following them from behind. Some of the clones engaged the apes, while the other worked on breaking the cages around and freeing the MmWhat's inside. Naruto and Spyro employed melee attacks to fight, and Spike provided backup with his green flames. Before long, they had accomplished their current objective and returned to see that Exemer and Moliere had reunited with each other. "Well, I see that you two crazy kids found each other," said Sparks. "Yes, at last. Thanks to you," said Moliere. "We're just disappointed that you didn't leave any fun for us," said Exemer, making Naruto sweat drop. "Maybe next time." "So now which way to Pterodor?" asked Spyro. Exemer pointed over to an open doorway and spoke. "That way, but be careful, the conductor and his maniacal locomotive will surely be nearby." "When you say be careful, does that mean try not to die?" "I'm trying to do that anyway," said Sparks. "We've been doing that from the very beginning, Sparks," said Spike. Exemer, we must get all the MmWhat's underground where they belong," said Moliere. The ground quaked again, this time more violently than before. "Yes, it won't be long now," said Exemer before leaving together with his brother to where the MmWhat's probably are. "We better hurry and find Pterodor before the volcano erupts," said Naruto. They passed through the doorway, which suddenly closed shut and refused to open back up, but they continued on nonetheless. Eventually they reached the center of the volcano as they went up a spiraling slope leading all the way to the top and fighting enemies on the way, and passed through another door, which sealed itself shut just like the other one from before. They looked around the area and saw a giant green dragon trapped in a cage which was floating midair surrounded by purple energy that came from the purple crystals around it. "Is that Pterodor?" asked Spyro. "Big dragon being held prisoner in the center of an explosive volcano? I'm guessing that's Pterodor," said Sparks. "No need to point out the obvious, we need to get him out of here," said Naruto. "Just be careful, it's never this easy," said Spyro. "After the last 2 times, you're not gonna get an argument from me, Chief," said Sparks. Suddenly the train drove in the area before them. "Oh, here we go again." You're a little late fella, the crystal's already charged and the volcano's ready to blow. But before it does, me and Steam here are gonna take great pleasure in running you down," said the conductor. "Sorry but nobody is going to your roadkill," said Naruto. "We'll see about that, horsey." The conductor restarted the train as it quickly moved around the area in an effort to run over them. Spyro and Naruto jumped out of the way. This time he didn't tell Spike to get off his back. Spyro took to the offensive by firing ice shards at the train to inflict a decent amount of damage, with Naruto joining in with his icicle shot. Spyro got an idea and went to stand at the center of the track and stood still. The conductor saw this and steered the train towards him. "Prepare to be rolled." The conductor. Spyro waited until the last minute before jumping out of the way for the train to skid on its brake and crash into the wall and almost knock the conductor off. Naruto took this opportunity by pounding it with the chakra cannon and Spyro, launching electric arcs at it to zap both the conductor and the train until finally righted itself and was on the move again. Picking up speed as the conductor shoveled more charcoal into the engine. Spike continued to throw more impulse crystals and launched fireballs. Naruto positioned himself on the outer lane and called out to the conductor. "Hey banana addict, come and get us, or is your train modeled after a tortoise?" That taunt caught his attention and ticked him off as well. "You little brat. You and you lizard friend are pancake when I'm through with you." Then he steered the train towards him and sped forward. Naruto turned around and channeled chakra to his feet and took off with the train behind him. He turned right and ran across the center before calling out to Spike. "Spike, do it now." Spike took out a white crystal from the pouch and threw it at the conductor, which suddenly released a bright flash of light, forcing the ape to close and for the wall to crash into the wall yet again. Spyro moved in and repeatedly shot fireballs at it to burn them. The train righted itself and went even faster, while shooting streams of fire from its multiple exhausts on both sides. Spyro looked around to get another idea to attack the conductor and his train until his eyes set upon the rails and a plan came across his mind. "Naruto, help me zap the rails," Spyro shouted out before using his electric breath. "Bada bolt chain." His horn crackled with lightning and shot out a stream into the rails. Both combined electricity coursed through the tracks and made contact with the train before continuously electrocuting them. The train started to produce black smoke from all over and was unable to move. The conductor tried to remedy this by shoving in more coal, which proved to be a grave mistake because it exploded from both the damage and overload of steam. That in turn also destroyed the cage which Pterodor was imprisoned in. The gang approached Pterodor as he slowly got back to his feet and looked at Spyro in surprise and was stunned upon seeing Spike. "The purple dragon lives and I never thought that there would be another one. He has a name, you know. Plus the little guy doesn't classify into what you think he is," said Sparks. "Yes, my name is Spyro and those are my friends Naruto and the younger dragon is Spike. You must be Pterodor," said Spyro. Yes I am, and I must say I never thought I'd live to meet you Spyro as well as your special friends," said Pterodor. "Look, I'd love to sit here and hug everybody in chat. But how about we leave before the volcano blows up?" said Sparks. "You're right, I've got to tell the others what Cinder is up to." "Let's go, I'm right behind. Actually, I'm right in front of you." They were about to leave when something burst out of the lava and rose to the air and cleared the flames to reveal a black and magenta dragoness with multiple horns, side-like tail, silver bracelets and chokers. It's Indra," said Spike fearfully. Naruto took a step back in worry. He may have dealt with a dragon back at Equestria, but this is a whole different level. "Run!" Pterodor shouted out to them. "Look, when the guy says run, I think he knows something," said Sparks. "I hate to admit it, but you're right," said Naruto. Cinder swooped to the ground and grabbed the crystal nearby before ascending to the sky with Pterodor in pursuit. The dragoness saw him coming and spun around with a backhand to send him crashing to the ground much to their shock. "Pterodor!" Spyro called out in worry. "Run away from here. Fly like you never flown before. I'll go back to the temple for help." Pterodor spoke out to them. The group felt fear crawl up their spines when Cinder stared right at them. They turned to flew with Spyro spreading his wing and Naruto activating his chakra wings, with Cinder chasing after. They flew through the tunnels of Bizitbik over the sea of magma. They veered left and right to avoid the lava flowing from above and dove down into a tunnel. Cinder fired her breath at them which possessed a dark aura around it, but they dodged the attack before it could hit them. Some apes riding Dreadwings came charging in from the front. Naruto used his chakra bullet to shoot them down and clear the way. Shadow clone jutsu. The duplicates appeared and turned around to attack Cinder, but she launched her breath at one of them, which before exploding and taking down the rest of the clones. "Damn, not even my clones can slow her down." "Naruto, fly faster. She's catching up with us," said Spike. "I know, and I'm going as fast as I can." They flew through the tunnels until reaching the exit of Bizitbig right as it erupted. They pulled off every single maneuver they could think of, but Cinder stayed on them regardless. She almost caught them when a red blur crashed into her, Naruto, and the others turned around to see that it was Ignitus who was currently struggling with Cinder before tackling her as they both fell into the darkness below. Ignitus? Spyro cried out in worry. He flew around with Naruto and Spike as they looked around for any traces of the Red Dragon Guardian. Naruto even used his aura sight, but to no avail. Territor appeared before them and was blocking their way. We've got to find them, help Ignitus. We have to rescue him before he gets captured, said Naruto in agreement. They're gone, Spyro, there's nothing we can do, said Sparks. I don't care, Ignitus wouldn't leave us. Spyro, he's right, said Territor. Sparks looked a bit surprised. I'm right. Oh my god, that's a first. Whatever, Spike muttered, obviously worried about Ignitus who had taught him a bit about using his flame. Yes, you'll never find them in this mess, and you're not ready to face Cinder. Let's us not forget about your recent battles before she appeared. The time to fight will come, but it is not now. Naruto wanted to retort, but Territor spoke the truth as he could feel the exhaustion slowly taking its toll and had no other choice but to comply. I guess you're right. Let's go, said Spyro. They all flew towards the Dragon Temple with Naruto turning to look back at Bizitbig and grit his teeth in frustration. Despite accomplishing their objective, the enemy gained a consolation prize in Ignitus, and that truly stung with a feeling of defeat as the situation has now taken a turn for the worst. Damn it. Why am I so powerless? He thought to himself as he flew back to the temple. In the main hall of the Dragon Temple, everyone had gathered around and depression could be felt in the atmosphere. Naruto and the others were able to rescue Territor but failed to stop another crystal from being powered, and to make things worse, Cinder pursued them and almost got to them had it not been for Ignitus arriving to intervene, but got captured instead. It's all my fault, I failed Ignitus when he needed me the most. But it's just that the sight of Cinder so close just Spyro trailed off. Sparks flew up to him. Made your heart stop. Put ice in your veins. Scared the crud out of you? Yeah, something like that. Me too, I wasn't this scared ever since I first saw Nightmare Moon, said Spike with a shudder. I hate to admit it, but we wouldn't have stood a chance against, since we were exhausted from the fights we had at Munitions Forge, especially against that conductor and his locomotive, Naruto grudgingly admitted to the truth. Territor then spoke up. All warriors feel fear at one time or another, Spyro. There is no shame in that. Yes, it's a proven scientific fact that the quotient between adrenaline and trepidation. Voltaire would have continued yammering on had he not been interrupted. Voltaire, please, I believe that our good friend here was trying to make a point, said Cyril. Territor nodded in affirmation. Thank you, Cyril. What I was going to say is that all warriors feel fear, Spyro. But only the most valiant among us can face that fear and master it. From what I saw of you and Naruto on Munitions Forge, both of you are such warriors. Naruto understood exactly what Territor meant by those words. He remembered how scared he was when he faced Zabuza and Gaara, but overcame his fear in order to protect his friends from danger and was able to emerge victorious with some help from Sasuke and Gamabunta respectively. Young dragon, now is the time to complete your training. Now is the time to face your fear. Come, Territor walked towards the training room with Spyro scampering after him. Am I the only one still petrified? Asked Sparks. Pretty much, I need to get some training too. Naruto turned to leave the main hall and go outside the Dragon Temple. Can I come and watch Naruto? Asked Spike. Sure, Spike jumped onto Naruto's back as they left. In the training room, Spyro learned to properly harness the power of the Earth Shot to the point of inflicting serious damage with just one attack. Next was the Earth Bomb, where he launches a green orb emitting leaves which explodes into a large green tornado, sucking up the enemies and twirling them high into the air, making it similar to that of the electric arc. The final was the Earth Fury, where he learned how to summon 6 tornadoes to swirl around in circles before massive boulders would fall from the sky and crush any enemies nearby. Meanwhile, Naruto was within the forest close to the temple, training on his spells and techniques with Spike watching close by. He was contemplating on whether or not he should use certain techniques which he was still working on in the forthcoming battle, but then decided to think it over until then. I think that's enough training for now. We should head back to the temple and meet up with the others in order to discuss our next move, said Naruto. Okay, let's go. Spike hopped onto Naruto's back as they made their way back to the Dragon Temple. Spike, I want you to stay behind this time, said Naruto. Spike was shocked upon hearing what he just said, but why? I've been helping you out ever since the beginning, so why now? That's because where we would be going could be potentially much more dangerous than the last 3 places, plus this time we would encounter Cinder with no running away this time. If anything were to happen to you, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself, and I don't know how I can face Twilight. Isn't there any other way I can change your mind? No, Spike, this time you have to stay where it's safe until it's over. Spike frowned but eventually nodded. Okay, I'll stay behind. Thanks, I'm glad you understand, said Naruto with a smile as they drew close to the temple. I see you've returned from your short training, Naruto, said Teruto upon seeing the pony along with the baby dragon coming through the doors into the main hall. Yeah, I needed to be prepared for Ignitus's rescue and the eventual battle with Cinder, said Naruto. The wise strategy for someone as young as you, Spyro has completed his training as well. Yes, pat on the back, good going, all that other rubbish. But we've got to get moving here, said Cyril, looking a bit impatient. Cyril is being terribly obnoxious, but in this case he happens to be right, Teruto. Ignitus is the final piece to Cinder's puzzle. If that last crystal is powered, the portal will open and we'll all be done for, said Voltaire worriedly. I know. When I was on Munitions Forge, I overheard the conductor say that Cinder's final preparations would take place at her lair, where she lives in solitude among the clouds and the towers. I am certain that's where she's taken Ignitus, said Teruto. What's to know about this place? Asked Spyro. Cinder's lair is where Hope goes to die, Spyro. A dark foreboding place in which Cinder broods and skulks and plans her next assault. It used to go by the name Concurrent Skies, which was a private for electric dragons like Voltaire to learn and harness the powers of electricity until the dark forces came and took over. You two must make your way to her fortress where I'm sure Ignitus is being held. Then we have to go, come on, said Spyro. I don't think the Teruto would be able to come along, Spyro, said Naruto. He's right, that crystal has sapped the last of my will. I fear my fighting days are over, said Teruto. Every generation must pass the torch to the next, Teruto. Our time is done, said Voltaire. Yes, it is Spyro and Naruto's time to shine, go to it young chaps. Said Cyril. Yes sir. Naruto and Spyro spoke simultaneously before scampering towards the entrance with Sparks fluttering after them. Wow, you guys make me wanna face Cinder. Did I say that out loud? Said Sparks. Pretty much, Naruto replied. Why isn't Spike coming with us? Asked Spyro. I wanted him to sit this one out since where we're going is obviously way more dangerous than the previous ones, said Naruto. How come no one tells me to stay behind because of dangerous stuff? Asked Sparks. That's because you would follow us whether or not we tell you, said Spyro. You got a point there. It was a long flight from the Dragon Temple, but the trio had arrived at their destination, which turns out to be a landscape covered in giant crystals, and the skies are darkened with lightning striking everywhere undeterred and unchecked. There was a flash of lightning with which they could make out a silhouette of a gigantic fortress in the distance. Naruto and Spyro landed in a clearing and proceeded to follow a path towards the fortress. Next time I say I want to face Cinder, why don't you go ahead and punch me in the mouth, said Sparks. No problem, said Spyro. Ditto, said Naruto. Suddenly, they heard a loud shriek and looked up to see a silhouette of Cinder flying around. At least we know that she's around, now let's get a move on. They moved further down the path and saw an ape leader with white fur and wearing armor covering the shoulder, whilst wielding a serrated sword and shield. The ape saw them and took off down the road. Teruto made it sound like this place was uninhabited, said Sparks. Now what would that be? Come on, we gotta take them out, said Spyro. Besides, we could use the warm-up before facing Cinder, said Naruto before running down the path with Spyro close behind him. They continued onwards until they saw the ape leader yet again, who roared at them before jumping away and smashed through a weathered iron gate they made to follow, but then several ape soldiers appeared from behind the large crystals and charged at them. Naruto charged forward and began to unleash a barrage of punches and kicks on the ape soldiers, with Spyro joining in by using his improved earth shot to send them flying into the crystals as they slumped to the floor and laid there unmoving. They went through the broken gate to see the ape leader still on the run from them. Enough of the keep away, Windflood Ash. The wind surrounded Naruto's body as he took off at high speed to overtake the ape before turning around and raising a forehoof with which a white rune appeared chakra cannon. A large white orb shot out and slammed onto the ape leader, taking it out with a critical hit. They climbed up the ledges and arrived at another clearing to see a pair of large eel-like leeches with blue skin and pink underbellies with 4 pincers around the mouth, and they were swimming in a small white pool of water. The leeches saw Naruto and Spyro and charged at them. The next thing they knew was that a green aura and orange aura was flowing out of them respectively into the leeches. The duo quickly jumped backwards in alarm of what was happening. Those leeches were draining our energy, we should attack from a distance, said Spyro. Naruto fired several fire lances at one of the leeches, whilst Spyro used the earth shot on the other, which proved to be particularly effective on them. The trio proceeded through yet another smashed gate and stopped before a tall tower. They drew close to the large doors which suddenly opened for an ape commander to pass through before closing itself shut behind him. The ape raised his weapon over his head as a pair of purple beams shot out of it and formed a barrier to bar the way behind them, with a group of ape soldiers appearing by his side. Here we go again, said Sparks. Naruto took a fighting pose. It's fighting time, Hashi no Ha battle stance. The azure glaive appeared on his back ready for battle. He charged straight towards the ape commander, who slammed his crystal mace on the floor to induce a shockwave, but he quickly jumped into the air and twirled to plant both of his hind legs into his face for a double kick to knock him. The ape angrily got up before charging at Naruto with a shoulder barge. The pony ninja leapt to the side to evade and stuck out his tail to trip him up, then he jumped into the air as he formed a blue spinning orb with a 4-hoof Rasengan. Then he rammed it onto the ape's defenseless back with sufficient impact to create a crater underneath. Spyro was clawing at some of the ape soldiers and performed a 360 spin with his bladed tail to knock back any that tried to surround him. He flapped his wings hard enough to dash backwards before launching an earth bomb which exploded into a green tornado and was juggling them in the air. Then he followed up by using his ice stream to freeze them before gravity brought the apes back down to earth and shattered upon impact. An ape leader ran at him with his blade raised high, but Spyro turned around to use his electric stream to render him immobile, then he jerked his head to the side to fling him into the wall of the tower. They heard a screech and looked up to see a Dreadwing carrying some sort of cargo, then it dropped it to shatter and reveal more ape soldiers who joined in the fight. "They just keeping coming," said Sparks. "And we're pressed for time here, might as well go with quantity instead of quality." Shadow clone jutsu. Several puffs of smoke appeared around him before dissipating to reveal his clones, who instantly split up to take on the opposition. The fight was shortened, and soon all of the apes laid on the ground in defeat. "Time to make an entrance," said Naruto as he created pair of chakra arms as they came close together to perform a Rasengan which is larger than normal, before thrusting it towards the door's giant bull Rasengan. They broke off the hinges and flew inside the tower, crushing the apes which were standing behind them. "An open doorway, that's more like it," said Sparks, nodding in approval. "Thought you would like that," said Naruto. The trio entered the tower, though they had to watch out for electric fences along the way before arriving in a tall metal room where they had to defeat all of the enemies present in order to activate crystal platforms to get to higher ground. They had climbed to the 3rd floor where they encountered what appears to be a blue eye-like crystal orb that walks around on tendrils made out of electricity. The conduit shot out a red beam of light around itself until the light settled on the trio, which changed to yellow before moving towards them with the intention to attack. It shot an arc of electricity at them, but Naruto jumped forward and activated his barrier crystal to deflect the attack, then Spyro launched a fireball which exploded upon impact, damaging it. Then he lowered his head and charged at the conduit, ramming into it with his horns and knocking it into the air. Naruto was already above with a Rasengan to drive the conduit to the ground as it shattered upon impact. 3 crystal platforms rose from the ground floor to the top, forming a bridge to the other side, where a door opened up to reveal an exit. The trio ventured through a maze-like area where they encountered golems similar to the ones at Tall Plains, but made up of crystals with electricity keeping their limbs together. Naruto and Spyro took them down with little issue as they made their way through another tower into the next clearing. Sparks flew ahead of them to scope the area when all of a sudden, Cinder swooped by right in front of him. "Aye. Sparks screamed out as he fell to the ground in shock at the sudden appearance of the Dark Dragoness. Naruto and Spyro rushed over to check on him. "Sparks, are you okay?" asked Naruto worriedly. Sparks raised a hand towards the sky. "I can't talk," heart breaking up. This drew deadpanned expressions from both Naruto and Spyro as the latter simply rolled his eyes over at this. "You're just fine, only got scared out of your wits." "Come on Sparks, Ignitus is waiting," said Spyro. Smash. "Well, it's about time that we finally made it here," said Sparks. Spyro and Naruto had just broken through a gate which led into a large area with long steps leading up to a massive black building in front of them. Suddenly the doors opened and a squad of ape soldiers and leaders being led by an ape commander who raised his weapon into the air to launch a pair of purple beams to form a barrier behind Spyro and Naruto. "Let's clear them out so that we can get into the fortress," said Spyro. "Eyes, you've got ape gunners on both sides," Sparks called out. At that moment, Spyro and Naruto leapt high into the air just before 2 arcs of lightning struck where they originally stood. Spyro glided to safety and out of range, while Naruto landed with a thump and glared at the ape gunners. "I'll take care of them." Naruto reached into his pouch and took out several impulse crystals and flung them at one of the ape gunners to destroy it before turning to the other, with his horn emitting an orange aura fire lance. Several spears of flames appeared around him before shooting towards their target and successfully taking it down. Spyro was currently being surrounded by the ape soldiers and ape leaders, then he focused on his inner power as he slowly rose to the air and unleashed his fire fury as it exploded outwards and shot explosive embers for extra damage, wiping out the surrounding enemies. He turned to see Naruto trotting up to him with the ape commander sprawled out on the ground with his shattered armor around him. "I guess that's all of them, let's go inside and find Ignitus," said Naruto. "Right," said Spyro. Both ran up the stairs and drew close to the doors when it opened up again, and something walked out, all the while making heavy clanking sounds on the floor. It was an armored knight who bore heavy resemblance to the Ice King back at Dante's freezer, except that purple lightning could be seen coursing through its body as it wielded a metal shield and a large mace. "Oh great, now we have to fight the Electro version of the Ice King," Sparks groaned out. "Maybe so, but we got the advantage. This time, I'm using quality instead of quantity." Naruto formed a pair of chakra arms from his back. The Electric King swung his mace to launch a volley of lightning bolts straight at them. The chakra arms proceeded to weave through a series of hand signs quickly wind style. Breezing wind jutsu. He took a deep breath before opening his mouth to blow a strong gust of air, which cancelled out the electricity before slamming into the Electric King, knocking him back a few feet. Spyro followed up by launching his own volley of ice shards to inflict damage, the armored being roared out in rage as he raised a foot before stomping hard on the ground for large purple crystals, emitting electricity to appear and shoot towards his targets. The duo immediately leapt out of the way before retaliating with fireballs and chakra cannon, but both were blocked by a projected force field. He conjured a cluster of purple electric crystals and launched them only for the duo to move out of the way, whilst biding their time for the force field to disappear, which it eventually did before swinging into action. The Electric King swung his mace at Naruto, who quickly brandished the Hashi no Ha to parry the strike, before launching a 5-hit combo to shatter the first layer of the armor and the shield. Spyro wasn't far behind as he jumped into the air to perform an aerial attack before finishing up by flapping his wings for a knockback. Again Naruto performed another series of hand signs wind style. Wind arrow. He breathed in and molded chakra within his stomach, then he blew out an arrow made out of wind, which zipped towards the Electric King and pierced through his armor and emerged on the other side. The armored warrior dropped his weapon to clutch the gaping hole, but the damage was done as he collapsed to the floor and laid there unmoving with the electricity petering out. "Well, that takes care of him, but what just happened?" asked Sparks curiously. "I learned that the wind has an advantage against electricity, but weak against fire, as it rather enhances the flames," said Naruto. "That explains why you said that you had the upper hand," said Spyro. The trio entered the building, completely unaware that a large shadow was flying in the air and watching their fight with interest before disappearing into the darkness. Meanwhile, Naruto and the others found themselves in the center of where an elevator was locked by purple crystals in a hexagon formation and guarded by an ape commander. They quickly took care of the enemy and destroyed the crystals, which enabled the lift to be activated, gradually carrying them to the top of the fortress. However, there were several more crystals and enemies to impede, however they were able to arrive at the top. The group looked around a bit before seeing Ignitus being held aloft in a cage made entirely of purple electricity, and another crystal was draining his energy like with the other guardian dragons. Guys," Sparks spoke rather quietly. "What is it, Sparks?" asked Spyro. "I don't like this, it feels like she's baiting us. I'm getting smarter." "By saying that, you just admitted that you were dumb before," thought Naruto while keeping an eye out for Cinder. He saw something move among the spires, but couldn't catch a clear glimpse of what it was as they approached Ignitus. Ignitus groaned out weakly. "Spyro, destroy the crystal quickly. Let's get him out of here before Cinder gets back," said Spyro. "And I'll take care of the crystal." Naruto brandished the Hashi no Ha. They hardly took a third step when the said Dragonus landed before them, obstructing their path. "If only it were that easy, little ones," said Cinder. Sparks quivered in fear. "SSS, so big. Time you learned how complicated life can be." Cinder swung her head around before aiming to smack Spyro away. "Spyro, watch out. Stellar gear change, shield." Naruto moved in to intercept as his glaive transformed and blocked the attack, but the impact had sent both of them flying back and tumbling on the floor. "Are you guys okay?" asked Sparks. "Yeah, we're fine," Naruto responded. "Run, you two, save yourselves," said Ignitus. This time I fight," Spyro proclaimed. "That's right, we came all this way to save you, and running away is out of the question," said Naruto. Cinder chuckled evilly. "Bring it," before charging straight at them. She reached Naruto first and swiped at him with her claws. Naruto still had his shield, so was able to block the attack before leaping towards her with a punch, however she angled her head to evade before using her left wing to smack him away. Spyro joined in the fight with an electric arc which made contact, but failed to engage her. Cinder turned around to use her bladed tail to whip at Spyro, who dashed backwards to get out of rage, whilst launching a fireball to counter. Blind Flaw dash. Naruto sped around Cinder in circles before channeling his chakra cannon. He launched a large white orb from the left side. HMPH, how weak. Cinder flapped her left wing to bat the incoming projectile aside towards another direction. "Then let's see you handle this." Shadow clone jutsu. He created a couple of clones as he ran before they charged altogether. The first clone got in close before throwing a straight punch which was parried and got backhanded hard enough to be dispelled. The second came in from behind and lashed out with a chakra arm, which successfully hit her back, only for Cinder to retaliate with a swing of her tail to take it down. The next two clones each fired a chakra tendril from a distance as they wrapped around her neck while latching to the floor with chakra. From the corner of her eye, Cinder saw what appears to be the original rushing for the crystal with a blue spinning sphere and hoof. Not so fast, little pony. She forcefully pulled on the tendril, wrenching the clones from the ground and launched them towards Naruto. Raisana. Naruto was just about to ram his jutsu into the crystal when he got blindsided by his thrown shadow clones, knocking him off the platform. Naruto. Spyro called out in horror as he watched Naruto fall over the edge. Calm down bro, remember that he can fly, Sparks quickly spoke up. You're right, Spyro let out a sigh of relief before turning his attention back on Cinder who was chuckling in amusement. He fired an earth shot to get her attention and charge at him. She swiped at him with her claw, but Spyro jumped into the air, twirled with his tail out to hit her a few times before gliding away and using his fire breath to attack. Cinder simply flapped her wings to blow the flames away as she laughed arrogantly. It's so sad that it must end this way, said Cinder. No, it won't. Spyro charged at her again only to be backhanded a few feet away, with Sparks checking if he was okay. Yes it will, now where was I? Cinder approached the crystal, taking it with the electric prison disappearing and Ignitus falling to the floor before she took to the air by smashing through the glass roof and flew away. Those she ever use doors? Said Sparks. It was at that moment when Naruto appeared with his chakra wings active and landed back on the platform with a frown on his face. Darn it. And I was close to destroying that crystal too. Then he noticed that Spyro was deep in thought. What's on your mind Spyro? There was something in her eyes Naruto, something familiar, said Spyro. There should be Spyro. They turned to see Ignitus hobbling up to them. You and Cinder share more than you know. What do you mean Ignitus? Asked Naruto. It's time that I told you the truth, all of it. Then Ignitus began to tell them what happened in the past. You see, after I took your egg to the Silver River, I returned to the grotto to find utter chaos. The Guardians had been overrun and all the dragon eggs had been smashed by the Dark Master's forces, all except one. You see, the Dark Master was torn. He wanted to destroy all the eggs to prevent the birth of the purple dragon, but he also needed a dragon. Why would he need a dragon? Asked Spyro confusedly, having already gotten the idea of the Dark Master's hatred of dragons. Because, Spyro, only one born in the year of the dragon, could open the portal that served as the Dark Master's prison. I think I get it now. He needed Cinder to free him from his prison, but he also needed the power of the guardian dragons as well, in order to open the portal, said Naruto with a look of realization. But if we came from the same place, why is she so? Spyro trailed off, not knowing what else to say. Spark spoke up, as always evil. Monstrous. Big. Sexy. Oops, did I just say that? Because, Spyro, after the night of the raid, she was corrupted by the Dark Master's poisonous powers twisted by his evil lures. She became the Dark Master's puppet, Ignitus spoke sadly. Just like what Orochimaru did to Sasuke, though I was able to stop him from going to that snake, it cost me my life to do so, thought Naruto with a sad look. But why? What does this Dark Master want? Asked Spyro. If he's anything like some people I've met before, then my best guess is to rule the Dragon Realms with an iron grip, said Naruto. Ignitus nodded in affirmation. Indeed, you're right Naruto, and if Cinder gets there he might just succeed. Suddenly there was a thunderous sound, everyone turned to see a large white swirling portal appear before them. I'm afraid we might be too late. No, I refuse to give up, I'm going to stop Cinder and the Dark Master, said Spyro with determination. Same here Spyro, I've got your back, said Naruto looking just as determined. Whoa, wait a minute, you heard the big guy. He said too late, we'll get him next time. You guys did a great job, so let's take 5, said Sparks. As long as there's a chance to win, I'm willing to take it, then just let it slip and regret for the rest of my life, Naruto spoke up with Spyro nodding in agreement. Okay, you're right. At the very least, you have to try. If the Dark Master escapes, a shadow will fall over the land, who knows what will happen then, said Ignitus. The duo nodded in affirmation before taking to the air and entering the portal in pursuit of Cinder. May the ancestors look after you, may they look after us all. After flying through the dimensional tunnel, Naruto, Spyro and Sparks exited the portal to find themselves flying in an endless iridescent void, with large groups of floating rock platforms and many giant creatures, bearing resemblance to jellyfish, whales and snakes. The group landed on a nearby rock platform and surveyed the area only to note of what appears to be purple energy converging on an ancient building structure in the distance, and also caught a glimpse of Cinder flying towards it. Judging by where Cinder's heading, that must be the portal of convexity, said Naruto. Then we have to get there before she does, come on, Spyro took off with Naruto close behind. The team utilized the floating rock platforms and at times the top of the giant jellyfishes to glide from one place to another, which took some time, but they eventually arrived at the portal only to see Cinder insert the final crystal into it. "Finally, my master returns," said Cinder. "We're too late," said Spyro. Cinder turned towards them. Persistent little fellas, aren't you? This is where it really ends. Let's do this then." Naruto took a fighting stance next to Spyro. Cinder flared her wings, no mercy this time. Spyro started things off by launch an electric stream which made contact with Naruto, using a bolt chain spell to increase the voltage, causing Cinder to screech rather angrily before retaliating by opening her mouth to unleash dark orange flames upon them, but Naruto and Spyro quickly jumped out of the way to avoid the attack. Naruto formed chakra arms to weave through a string of hand signs wind style. Wind bullet. He took a deep breath before firing a series of small bursts of wind in the form of condensed ball to continuously bombarding the Dragoness. Spyro rushed up to her and started to melee as much hits as he could before Cinder smacked him in the head hard enough to stun. Cinder jumped high into the air and was about to land on top of Spyro. "Spyro, watch out." Naruto focused on his magic as Spyro was covered in an orange aura before being lifted into the air and was carried away right as Cinder landed, resulting in a miniature tremor. Spyro shook his head to clear his mind from the daze. "Thanks for the help," said Spyro. "Don't mention it." Naruto created a group of shadow clones that immediately charged at Cinder. The Dragoness took to the air and flew around the battlefield as she unleashed her flames upon the clones, with some of them taken out while the others evaded the attack. Naruto and Spyro used a fire lance and ice stream respectively in an attempt to bring her down, but she dodged the attacks and continued on with hers. "Let's see if she can dodge this, wind style." Great breakthrough. He took in a really deep breath with his stomach bulging a bit as he brought a chakra arm to his mouth before blowing a massive gust of wind. Cinder was unprepared for the technique, completely messing with her flight as she was blown backwards and crashed into part of the portal. Naruto was panting a bit in exhaustion from constant use of jutsus, which he hasn't fully mastered well you can Spyro. Not needing to reply, Spyro attacked Cinder with every single elemental breath with all of his might, not wanting to give her a chance of recovery or retaliation, with the remaining shadow clones adding in their own attacks. Cinder got back to her feet and shook her head to clear it before glaring at the duo with rage. "You impudent insects. I shall not be defeated here." She yelled in anger. Cinder hovered in the air whilst gathering purple energy within herself. Naruto and Spyro realized what she's about to do. She's going to use a fury attack. Naruto ran over to Spyro's side and quickly used his Terra Bunker spell to form a protective dome of earth around them. At that moment, Cinder unleashed a massive dark flame which exploded outwardly, taking out the clones, and impacted the earth dome with such force that it broke through the defense and knocked the duo away with burns on their body. Spyro got back to his feet and looked up at Cinder with eyes of determination. "Same could be said for us, we won't lose here either." He opened his mouth to fire a beam of purple energy, landed a clean hit on Cinder with a lot of damage. Naruto had gotten up as well and watched the exchange of attacks between both dragons, with neither side giving in. "Only one attack from either of them will end this showdown," said Naruto. As Spyro continued to fight, he felt something stirring from within as if wanting to be unleashed. "Now, it's time to unleash the true dragon within you," Ignitus's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. "Ignitus, okay, let's see what I can really do." Spyro concentrated on his new power as purple energy burst from his body and swirled around him before gathering over his head as the ground quaked. The energy took on the form of a spiraling void before multiple purple projectiles in the shape of Spyro's head shot out and raced toward Cinder. What is AI? Cinder hardly got time to react before the dragons proceeded to pummel her consecutively from every direction with no time lag. This kept up until the attacks finally dissipated and Cinder plummeted to the ground. Naruto walked up to Spyro with a smirk on his face. "Way to go, Spyro, that was an awesome finishing move." "Yeah man, you're the top dragon around here," said Sparks. The trio turned to see Cinder's body glowed faintly before suddenly shrinking to their size, much to their surprise. "She is just like me," said Spyro in wonder at the sight of the now younger Dragoness. "I think your attack must have somehow released her from the Dark Master's power, since I don't sense any negative emotions in her anymore," said Naruto. The ground started to quake again, and the portal seemed to sucking in everything in sight, which includes the trio and the unconscious Cinder. "Dude, we've got to get out of here now," said Sparks in a panic. "I can't leave her behind, I've got to save her," said Spyro. "What? Save the beast that's been trying to kill us? That wasn't her fault, she was being used by the Dark Master. If you were listening before, Cinder hasn't been doing any of this of her own free will. Blame the puppeteer, not the puppet," said Naruto. Spyro dove into the portal after Cinder when she got sucked into it. A few moments later, he came out with her in his clutches as they flew away. "Now we can go," said Spyro. "Couldn't agree with you more," said Naruto, activating his chakra wings and took flight. The group had made their way back through the portal, it becoming increasingly difficult due to the fatigue from the continuous battles, finally taking their tolls upon their bodies. They barely exited the portal before crashing to the ground, with the last thing Naruto hearing before blacking out was Spark saying something about having his mother fluff his pillow. Naruto finally regained consciousness and looked around to see that he was back at the Dragon Temple with Ignitus, Spike and the others looking at him with relief. "Naruto, you're okay." Spike was ecstatic. "I am now, I think I recovered some of my chakra and magic back." Naruto heard a groan and turned to see Spyro slowly getting up. "Feeling better, Spyro?" Spyro responded weakly, "Not really, Ignitus. That battle drained every last bit of my strength, I can hardly even lift my head." "Yes, it will take some time for your powers to return. Especially since it was your first time using the power of either, but they will in time, young dragon." Then Ignitus turned toward Cinder with a look of relief and regret. "Cinder, ever since I failed the night of the raid, I've dreamt of this day." "It wasn't just you, Ignitus. We all failed," said Voltaire with the others nodding in agreement. "Be that as it may, we're together again now thanks to Spyro with help from our new friends Naruto and Spike. Well done, young ones." "It's no problem at all, Ignitus, we were glad to help," said Naruto. "He's right, and I got the chance to meet with other dragons," said Spike. "Thanks, Ignitus, but we still don't know what happened to the Dark Master," said Spyro. "No matter, Spyro, there will be time to talk of the Dark Master later. Now it's time to be grateful of your success," said Pterodor. Spark spoke up his success. "What about me? Just because a bunch of weird stuff doesn't come out of my mouth doesn't mean I didn't help, you know. You were a big help, Sparks, no doubt about it. But for the record, a lot of weird stuff does come out of that little mouth of yours," said Spyro. "What was that supposed to mean?" Sparks asked indignantly. Naruto quickly interrupted. "Before you start ranting, I need to inform you guys that Spike and I will be returning home for now." "Really? But why?" asked Spyro. "Remember that I was sent to help you rescue the guardian dragons. Now that mission is complete, I'll be returning home to fully recover and continue with my training. The last battle showed how much work I'll need to master my jutsus and elemental affinity, but I'll be back to help you settle things with the Dark Master, and that is a promise." "Very well then, we bid you farewell and hope to see you again in the near future," said Ignitus. "Walk bravely, young warrior, and may our paths cross once more," said Pterodor. "I hope to see you again, Naruto." "Spike," said Spyro. "You better come back, man, we can't be the ultimate team without you," said Sparks. "True that, goodbye everyone, I'll see you later." Naruto turned and left the Dragon Temple with everyone watching him in hopes of his return. Meanwhile, back in Equestria, a pony wearing a black cloak with a hood covering the head was silently walking through a dark forest. Suddenly a pack of timberwolves burst out from nearby bushes and surrounded the pony, all the while growling. The pony looked around before a dark aura started to leak out from it. Seeing this disturbed the wooden lupins a bit but shrugged the potential threat off as they all pounced at the same time. But before they got any closer, spikes made of black energy shot out from the ground around the pony, impaling every single one of the timberwolves before they exploded into many splinters all over the forest floor. The pony then let out a sigh of disappointment before continuing on its way. "Things are really getting boring, it's kinda hard to find something worth doing while waiting for him to get stronger for a second round," said the pony, then he looked up to the moon and saw what would appear to be a black wisp before it disappeared. "Well, now I guess I won't have to wait too long for some entertainment. I wonder if you're ready for what's coming. Try not to disappoint me, Hikari." Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.